what better way to learn the exact trials and tribulations of onboarding new team members by actually talking firsthand with someone that's doing it right now. And this is a podcast that I did with a good friend and client of mine, one of our Kaizen Tribe members, about a week ago, actually. And it wasn't meant to be a podcast, but it was a session I was doing to help out with this client of ours while I was actually on holidays. So the podcast is about 12 minutes or 14 minutes. It's all about what works, what doesn't work, the best ways to onboard new team members, some of the soft skills, and the lessons learned by Nick in what he does with his team and what he is actually doing with his latest team member hire right now. So jump in, grab all the guts out of it. I wanted to make sure that it made it a little bit more formal here at the start. And because it was set up not as a podcast, just purely as us getting stuck in, there's some massive value there on exactly the first-hand experience with Nick, onboarding new team members, what's working, what's needed to be worked on, where the focuses lie. Jump in. I'll shut up now. You jump in, you get the value, and we'll talk to you again very soon.
Yeah, no, definitely. You're right. That's probably something that I've got to push a little bit more. Is not so much the technical admin side of stuff, but more of the retention rapport type work. From the start. And I have, like, she's gone through and watched all the webinars on perfect patient pathways and all those sorts of things that you recommended. So she's gone through all that and then and said that she found it really helpful. But yeah, I probably should have put a little bit more focus on it, especially in the early stages. I find that I'm struggling with working out how much is too much to dump on a new team member.
Absolutely. And it's a really, really great question, man, because every single person goes through that. It's the same as like you think about any context of this. I could give you thousands and thousands of hours of content to consume and do for the business ownership and the growth side of things and personal development, leadership. You're going to get overwhelmed, and a confused mind does nothing.
Yeah.
All right. So absolutely, it's 100% where you need to be. So this is where you as a business owner need to just really keep a temperature check on that.
Yeah.
I'm one that likes to take this journey a little bit slowly because I don't want to overwhelm people. Particularly when people are young, they're new grads, and they've come from that mentality in recent times of, about learning, consume more. And you think about uni's like that, right? Every lecture, they throw all this stuff at you. And then they say, oh, don't worry about those bits. We'll do more of it in the tutorials. And then you go and do the tutes, and it's the hands-on side of things, and you just have to learn. And before you know it, you go, shit, another week's gone, and I'm like, oh my God, like we were just expected to know every bone, every muscle in the body and know where they are. Like it's a really fast-paced environment as such, and they throw a lot at us.
Yeah.
That's not exactly the most conducive way to learning, though, is it?
Yeah.
And that's the challenge. So when you first start with a new team member, particularly if they're younger or they're new grads, etc., you've really got to peel that back a little bit. Because trying to do like an onboarding, process and work on all of the soft skills at once doesn't work. It's too much. You can't change 85 different things.
Yeah.
It's like when we have, like we used to have these quarterly plans and doing 90-day plans, and you have 10 things, and it's just too much. And even from science, we know the brain can't even do concentrate on more than 5 things. So unless and even right now, you think like what we're doing with the boardroom guys, they're in a situation where they're really only focusing on one project. That's it.
Yeah.
The other team may be doing other, bigger boulders and rocks and that type of stuff, and that's totally fine. Yeah. But you've got to have it set up in the right way. So I would be suggesting like I hear people, we have a really strong onboarding program when they're doing their hiring.
Mm.
And, we've got an onboarding program for 6 weeks and stuff like this. And I sort of sit there and go, like you can't teach soft skills in that short period of time.
Yeah.
So what I would be doing is I would just be focusing on one thing each week.
Yeah.
All right. So there's a Russian proverb. It's actually in the start of the One Thing book by Gary Kelleher, and it actually says a man who chases two rabbits is never going to catch either.
Yeah.
When you think about it, smack on the mark, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can't work on 45 different ways of soft skills. You can't expect someone to learn 3 different phrases to use and 8 different questions and redirect. And it can be a way too much too soon for most people. In fact, everyone. So that's why I think what you need to do is bring into play the focus sheets. So do you actually have a one-on-one meeting with them every week?
Mondays. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Great. So Monday or Tuesday is always the best, I think. All right. Do you actually run through that focus sheet that I've got in the membership site there?
Not yet. Just when you mentioned it, before, it sort of clicked in my head that I should start implementing that on a Monday.
Yeah, perfect. And so that I think is absolutely perfect guidance because, and I know I am completely assuming here, but I would assume you probably sit down, you work on the same strategy that I've taught you guys, where you'll do the, talk personally, etc. You've then got to have a specific switch. That's that switch where we're now going to talk professionally and business-wise, etc. And then we get stuck into that. So I always find that's the best way to do it. But you really need to have something scripted as such. And that's what that one page is for. And you can do it on the iPad, you can do it electronically, you can print it out, write it, whatever, it doesn't really matter. Put your own logo on it and all those things. But it's a reason why, and you look at, Nathan and all the others that have been using it, they literally say it's one of the absolute core fundamentals of how they've gotten things to move forward so quickly with their team. Because all of a sudden their team can engage. They know the structure. So the biggest challenge with us as humans is we don't really understand the rules of the game unless we're told them or shown them. Like you don't know the rules of the game of soccer until you're taught them. When the ball goes out, the other team who touched it second last, like not last, gets to throw it in. And then there's a certain way you have to throw it in. You can't turn sideways and throw it in. You've got to be, all these different rules. I mean, until we know them, we don't do it. And it's the same as what happens with new team members, right? So we get ourselves into a situation where if we can frame up those conversations, and that's why it's structured in a particular way. Yes, there's that little avenue there for the specific, like we have our 6 dials. Some people have the 5 dials. So you have those in place so that we can keep track of the scoreboard, the KPI type of thing. But all of the other questions in there and the direction of those other sort of 5 or 6, I think there's only 5. I think I'm trying to think of which versions on there because I change them around every couple of months and that as well. But those sort of 5 questions are the guiding principles and the guiding lights and for you and for them. And it's not because we're lazy that we're using a script and you can phrase it however you need to, but it is that guiding principles that puts us in with the KPAs. Right. So you actually do get a quick reflection every week of what's one thing that you've done really well this week. So you get that little bit of reflection. You get that appraisal scenario in place. What are you most grateful for? And I always start with that one. That's the first one. That always has to be the first one because we know by utilizing the gratitude card, it sets us and pre-frames us for where we need to be personally and professionally. And for some people it might be, I'm just really grateful. I had a good weekend. I switched off. I was with the family. We're healthy. Like it doesn't matter what it is. It just levels people, creates a nice soft tone to everything moving forward. But then in your situation, you get into those questions around, righto, what's our one focus going to be? What's our area of improvement that we're going to focus on this week to try and be, 1% better? And so it's not about all of a sudden learning all the soft skills and learning the patient pathway, the patient pipeline, the perfect consult pathway and 9 boxes and the exact phrase to do this. And then the wrap up at the end and whoa. It's just like, hang on, what was the thing you said about the whatchamacallit and the thing and the stuff 3 minutes ago? Like I've forgotten it all, right? So when we turn it into a scenario of what is the one thing that we're going to focus on this week? And they'll always start high level. They'll start, I need to, probably have better retention with some of my clients and that. Perfect. It allows you to scratch that itch. What exactly can you do? What exactly is it going to look like? Right. And this is where you can start to put your own expertise on it. I think one of the best things for you this week is I want you to watch Jason's video on such and such. Or why don't we put some time onto the diary later in the week for us to go through this together, 3 or 4 clients, and we'll actually put this through on the patient pathway.
Yeah.
And we'll actually work that together. So now it's that university tutorial situation. Rather than being told, here's 206 bones, learn them, you actually get to play with the cadavers in the lab, and you actually get to actually go, that's how the lateral epicondylitis sits. Right, okay. Because in a picture and whatever, in a lecture theatre, it doesn't quite do, it's the same thing, right? So if you just pick one thing, you can have a focus on it.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about doing it this way, Nick, when one person teaches, 2 people learn.
Yeah.
So you're going to teach it, means when you're teaching it to them, you're also reviewing it. You're also relearning it. You'll also go another level deeper.
Yeah.
It's like great books. You don't read a book once and put it on the shelf. That means you get shelf esteem.
Yeah.
You want to be able to read a book 2 or 3 or 4 times. Like in the last 12 months for me, I haven't read a huge amount of new books, but I've been rereading a lot of the ones. And that's just literally mind blowing because you always get that next level of depth and learning in that as well.
Yeah.
So I would suggest for you, for learning soft skills and that with your onboarding with your new team, your newest team member, I would be distinctly using this as a time to run off those scripted focus sheets that I have. They're on the membership site. Just go and grab them.
Yeah.
If you want to get our VAs and that to change them around and put your logo on them and that type of stuff, just throw them into the Slack channel and we'll get our team to do that for you. So it's your document as such.
Yeah.
And then you sit down with her and go through the context and importance, why it's important. Go back and have a look, listen to this again and understand that here's the exact process of why it's important and how it's important, and explain that last 5 minutes to her.
Yeah.
She'll understand, she'll be and then all of a sudden you're both there in the right framework and away you go.
Yeah.
All right. So you just got to be patient with it because Rome wasn't built in a day,
Yeah.
and she's not there for a month. So quick, let's get value from her.
Yeah.
She's there for a long time.
Yeah.
Right. And so let's actually invest the time and the effort that's most needed to drive the best result we can.
Yeah. 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 I think I've been lucky. This particular team has been awesome, like great initiative, like is bought into processes and how I like to talk and follow up with clients and the environment I'm trying to build in this clinic. She's jumped straight on board with all of that. So I feel like that stuff's been taken care of. So it's nice and easy for me. So it's probably just because for me, I can sift through my own little chaos when it was just me. But I want it to be nice and structured and stuff like that for her learning.
Well,
so
that's exactly it.
Yeah, doing it like this might be perfect. Just for focus sheets, a goal.
Well, I think it will be perfect, to be totally honest, because you've got a set day, set time.
Yeah.
You've got a set structure because you go personal. Then you use my switch technique, and we go. Then make it really clear that we're now talking business. So you can spend 2, 3, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is, personally. It doesn't have to be a set time period. It's what feels normal and natural.
Yeah.
Then you have that 10-second switch. All right, everyone's very clear about it. Literally, out comes the focus sheet, and you spend your 10 minutes or whatever. And so you literally can do this in 15 minutes, nice and comfortably every week. Yeah. Some people start off with 20 or 30 minutes, and after a couple of weeks, pull it down a little because you don't need that much time.
Yeah.
But like when I run these, I can do it in a 6 or 8 minute period, not because I'm trying to rush and anything like that. But we just, a lot of the time, I'll do a lot more of the soft stuff and the personal stuff sporadically through the week. High fives in the hallway type thing that we talk about.
Yeah,
that becomes super powerful. So it's almost like, I'm just, I'll start chatting to you about your kids for a sec. You'll tell me about something I saw on Facebook and explain how you went and did like I did this the other week. And one of the guys, one of my physios, took his son on that SCG tour thing, behind the scenes tour, and they go into the dressing rooms and all this type of stuff. And his son's a mad cricket fan, right? Yeah. Young fella, and just I remember seeing that, and I was just like, hey, I saw that looked like pretty good. I did that sports space tour like 20 years ago, and he was like, yeah, it's a bit different now, and this and this, and we just spoke for 2-3 minutes, and it was just natural. And then rather than looking for another personal question, I just went, hey, let's you're right to jump in, and we'll get stuck into this, into the business side now. And he goes, yeah, man, let's do it. Yeah. And he goes and grabs his iPad, rolls around. He's on his table, grabs his iPad, spins back around, and we start going through it. And he's literally like, this is what I'm doing. This is where I'm at. This is what I'm focusing on. Here's the challenge that I had last week, and we spoke about that. Here's what I want to do. And we set up the framework for that, and it just went dunk, 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 laid it out there. It was great. And I was like, what do you need from me? And there was nothing. I was like, what else do you need from the business? And it's like, no, exactly what we did and went through just then. And I'm like, okay, cool. Happy? And he's like, man, yeah, everything's good. I'm like, awesome. And he goes, I'm like, I'm done. Anything you need from me? Like asking, like, do I need to tell him anything or whatever type of thing? And it was just sort of wrapped up, and it was 8-9 minutes, and away we go.
Yeah.
And it just feels natural. But having the right day, set time, then use those focus sheets. All right. And you scripted through. Yeah. You've got all of those are based on the KPIs. We know that the little table there means we're getting feedback every week on our KPIs, which are awesome. So we just get a little bit of the soft touch on the harder stuff, and for those that are very much framed up with their business in regards to incentive pays and percentage bonuses and all these type of things. And for that business, we're not. But for those that have that sort of more financial structure with their business, that it has to be about bonuses, or see a lot more clients and we'll pay you more money and that type of approach, then that is easily then sort of it is directly, it's not loosely, but it's softly dealt with every week. Yeah. So you're not just going, oh, how did you go? What was your numbers for the last quarter? Now pay me X amount of dollars, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a structure in place, and it just pulls back from that. And because you don't want to be in that situation where people are going, oh, should we have a chat? It's been 3 months and I need to talk about our money and blah blah. You don't want to be in that situation. You want to always know a forward. So it's good, man. It's good.
Hey guys, thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Profitable Practice Podcast. I would love nothing more than for you to be able to leave a review. I get so much joy out of listening and reading the amazing things that you guys say about this. So please subscribe to our channel, leave a review, and share it with your friends. Let's get some more fantastic information out there so all of us can grow the industry together. Cheers for now.